Diplomacy Dojo with Dr. Ann Su. Do you struggle giving feedback to employees or colleagues? Would you like to know how to give corrective feedback in a way that's supportive? I'm going to show you how to consistently transform feedback from things that sound vague and judgmental, such as, "You came across really dismissive and arrogant when answering questions," to things that are specific and supportive, such as, "I think it'll help people connect with your work if you maintained eye contact and elaborated for longer when answering questions." I'm going to give you the 3 key steps, along with many examples, that will allow you to give useful feedback that improves performance while building trust with your team. The first step is to use non-judgmental language to describe their behavior. We all have part of our brain that's on alert for detecting social threat. It's the same part of the brain that detects physical danger. When we think we're being judged or criticized, this part of our brain lights up and gets us ready to defend ourselves by either fighting back or running away. It's the risk of setting off this social threat alarm that makes it hard to give corrective feedback. We can practice non-judgmental language by describing things as they would be registered by a video camera. These are words describing only what you can see or hear. A video camera doesn't recognize someone as acting dismissive, aggressive, or cutting people off. It can only capture that someone rolled their eyes, spoke in a louder tone of voice, or started speaking before someone else finished. So instead of saying, "You always shoot down ideas," you can say, "You've pointed out many risks and drawbacks." Instead of saying, "You dominated the conversation at the meeting," you can say, "I noticed that you spoke more than others at the meeting." Instead of, "You were very timid when giving your presentation," you can say, "During your presentation, you spoke in a quiet tone and often looked down." While you shouldn't use subjective language to describe people's behaviors, what you can do is use a direct quote of what they said. A direct quote is something that a video camera can capture. So for example, instead of saying, "You are very argumentative," you can say, "You describe someone using the word idiot." Studies find that employees really want the honest feedback that will help them improve, and managers really don't like to give it. This is largely because we tend to equate giving corrective feedback with telling someone that they're not good enough. We need to get beyond seeing positive versus negative feedback as being good versus bad. Feedback is not about being a good or bad person. We're all people that deserve care and respect. Feedback is about objective behaviors that can be affirmed or adjusted in order to achieve more effective outcomes. The second step is to frame the feedback with positive intentions. Research finds that the threat response is greatly reduced when people are reminded of support and care. In one study, researchers showed participants photos of hostile, angry faces and then measured the social threat response that was activated in their brains. Here is a graph showing the average level of threat response in people's brains when they saw the photos of the threatening faces. In another condition, before showing the threatening faces, some kind, caring photos were shown on the screen. Nothing was said. The photos were only shown on the screen, but the participants who saw the caring photos first and then the threatening faces had their threat responses greatly reduced. You can see on the left the average threat response when they only saw the threatening faces. And on the right, you can see the threat response that's greatly reduced after they saw the caring, supportive photos first. This means you'll greatly reduce the chance of triggering a threat response if you motivate your feedback with a supportive frame. This means that you believe on the inside and you communicate on the outside that your feedback is a gift wrapped with positive, supportive intentions. For example, imagine you had an aggressive team member. Instead of saying, "Stop shouting, you're never going to get people on board that way," you can say, "I want people to hear what you have to say. When you speak in a loud tone of voice, people could feel intimidated and not take in the content of what you're saying." Or imagine if you had a member of your team that was always asking other people for help to the extent of interfering with their work. Instead of saying, "Stop bothering everyone, you need to learn to figure things out on your own," you could say, "I want to help everyone develop their ability to problem solve. Can we talk about some approaches that you could use to solve problems on your own?" The third step to giving effective feedback is to seek understanding of their perspective. This is your chance to understand what they think of the situation and really understand what's going on underneath. Studies find that we're wrong in our assumptions about what we think others are thinking and feeling up to 80% of the time. The only way to address issues effectively is if we understand what's going on underneath. So for example, if someone is completely preoccupied with their phone throughout an entire meeting, they could be thinking the meeting is a stupid waste of their time, or they could be trying to handle an emergency. These same outer behaviors have very different underlying situations that would be addressed in very different ways. This means we ask open-ended questions to understand what's going on for someone else inside, and never assume that we know. We can use questions like, how do you see things? What are your views on this? From your perspective, what happened? In summary, the 3 steps for giving effective feedback are to describe the situation using non-judgmental language, to motivate the feedback with supportive intentions, to use non-judgmental curiosity to seek understanding of what underlies the behavior. Giving effective feedback is a skill learned over time. The best way is to keep practicing giving both affirming and adjusting feedback using non-judgmental language and a supportive frame. Remember, feedback is not about being good or bad, and it's never about the person themselves. Instead, feedback is about objective behaviors that we can affirm or adjust in order to achieve more effective outcomes. For more tips and tools to practice effective feedback, please visit diplomacydojo.com.